And we're live. I feel like it's become tradition now. I have to start it like that. We're live.
I know. Yes.
I think this came from the first few where we were like, we're not sure if this is going to work. So we were as much surprised as anyone else. But yes, welcome to WTF, Women Talking Facts, which is the weekly podcast where Michelle and I talk about the weirdest, wildest, wackiest moments from the patriarchy this week. Format's pretty straightforward. We share examples, eviscerate the people involved as much as we can without getting into trouble or breaking the law. And then at the end, we bring up, we've got one this week because slightly shortened because we've got a very special guest. And then we do a fuck around and find out where somebody was misogynistic or just creepy in some way and got their comeuppance, just so that we send you all off with a little high.
So not to completely depress you and spoil your weekends.
No, we don't want everyone having to crawl into a hole for the next couple of hours.
And I crack open the vodka early.
Yeah, that's like super early. Morning, Belinda. As we go through, if you want to share your thoughts, feelings, do so in the comments. I should remind people that everything that you put in the comments here will also be public and live on LinkedIn. Just saying.
Yeah.
There's not a private space in the comments here.
No.
But yes, I'm Felice, founder of Loud Women. I exist to help women to elevate their authority and visibility online while also doing it in a way that feels authentic as fuck and breaking down the patriarchal conditioning that keeps us quiet in the first place.
My name is Michelle Minikin. I am a psychologist, author of the book Good Girl Deprogramming. So much like Felice, I help women unlearn the people-pleasing, perfectionism, and self-doubt that the patriarchy has programmed into us from birth. And what I do is I help women become unfuckwithable. So,
yeah, you do.
Yeah, I do.
Yes, the mystical patriarchy, as some man referred to it this week. Yes.
Oh, yes.
I don't know what you and I are doing. Yeah, we shouldn't have jobs because the patriarchy doesn't exist. But anyway, as you can see, we have a very special episode today because we are joined by Amy from HASSL, and we are both so fangirling over Amy.
I was so ready, excited. Like quarter to, like, what time should I come in? Like, because I need to be here and ready.
Yes, we're very excited. So, Amy, for those who don't know, although I think we have like 35 people register, we normally only have about 3 or 4 people say they're coming. So everyone, I think, already knows who you are. But yeah, introduce yourself, Amy, and tell us all about HASSL.
Yeah, of course. So as you said, I'm Amy. I founded a social enterprise called HASSL, which is essentially all about tackling root causes of harassment and generally violence against women and girls, but especially public harassment as a kind of first focus. And essentially it's all about redirecting responsibility away from women as individuals and onto society as a whole. And yeah, it's not about kind of creating more safety apps or self-defense tools and things like that. It's about long-term systemic change, tackling root causes of, essentially violence against women and girls across the world. So, especially like the main thing is male violence, but also kind of the patriarchy, systemic misogyny and sexism, whole public space design, barriers to reporting, all that kind of stuff. So it's really trying to come at it from all the different angles that allows this to continue at such a high rate. And hopefully in the process, obviously, by tackling things that are more like public harassment, these often lead to much more serious behaviours down the line. So it should also have a positive impact, hopefully, on, more serious kind of cases, domestic violence, things like that. So yeah, that's the plan. Founded it 6 months ago, so it's still very new, but we've grown very fast. Is that enough of a story?
No, that's amazing. Yeah, so it's actually incredible that you've only been going 6 months. I think I first discovered you on TikTok, where you were sharing stats and quotes and challenging people's perceptions. Excuse me. And then I think you and I then met on LinkedIn. I think
Yes.
you posted over there, and I messaged you and I was like, I love what you're doing. Let's have a little conversation. But tell me what's happened between you starting and now, because this has been, anyone who's ever tried to start a movement like this, what you've achieved in 6 months has been phenomenal. And for the most part, you were working full time while you were doing it. So yeah, talk to me. Tell me about some of the things that you've achieved just in the 6 months.
Yeah, so I guess I'm trying to think where to start. So yeah, essentially, I kind of officially founded HASSL the end of October. So you know, kind of had been an idea in my brain for quite a long time, and I have always been really bothered by social issues. You know, all just everything from being really young. Like it's always bothered me. I've always been raised, you know, to kind of be aware of privilege and like, yeah, just I guess issues that are going on in the world, politics, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I always kind of knew that I wanted to do something to have some kind of positive impact and to use, you know, what I consider, apart from being a woman, generally I'm pretty privileged in what I, you know, have. And I guess, yeah, not at a disadvantage in a lot of other ways. So I always kind of knew that that's what I wanted to do. And then, yeah, when I was at university, I did a degree in entrepreneurship specifically because I always loved like running businesses and having projects and stuff like that as well. And that's where I kind of like came across, I guess, the concept of social enterprise. I think it wasn't really, when I was at university, I think I didn't really, like there was a few brands doing kind of social impact initiatives, you know, maybe they donate a bit to charity or whatever, but not full on brands that their pretty much their entire purpose was just social good. And it kind of was also like, to me, that perfect in between where charities are often very restricted in terms of funding and, you know, they spend a lot of time fundraising and all that kind of stuff. And I was always, you know, the having been able to utilize business strategy and, yeah, everything that goes into, I guess, for-profit, successful for-profits, but using the profit to actually make a positive impact in the world. Like when I kind of really found out about that, I was like, oh my God, like this is what I'm supposed to do. Like for me, it was just the perfect mix of two things that I'm really passionate about and yeah, really enjoy. And well, maybe it sounds bad saying enjoy social issues, but you know, enjoy hopefully having a positive impact on them. So yeah, so anyway, I was always kind of knew that was at some point on the horizon. And then at university, I had some for-profit businesses that had social impact initiatives, and I also had a social impact around homelessness. And then, yeah, kind of was planning to launch a social impact straight after university, and then I graduated during COVID, so that ruined everything. And yeah, ended up moving to London instead and working in different startups. So that's kind of like my, I guess, background in coming to this. And then, yeah, it was kind of, I guess I'd had that idea in my head for quite a while, like living in London, experience it all the time. All my friends talk about it. Every time I was going to like networking events and talking to women, it would come up within like 5 minutes of conversation. And I was like, this is just ridiculous. And every time I looked at stuff, it was just, again, I don't mean to like kind of talk badly about safety apps and stuff, because I think most of them are very well intentioned and like they have their place. And if it makes women feel safer, that is obviously, you know, a positive. But I think there was just not really anything that was focused on not putting more responsibility and mental load on women. And that's where I was like, okay, there's such a big gap here. And obviously it's a big thing to do. Like, I'm not saying, oh, it's an easy thing. But that's kind of why I just, you know, for me, it was like, I was always looking for a social impact to do. And then I kind of just, it was just so glaringly obvious to me that there was a huge gap. You know, it's something that I personally had experience of, talked about all the time. And I was just like, it was kind of the perfect, I guess, the perfect accumulation of all my experience, both professionally, personally, all that kind of stuff. And just, it made complete sense. So I guess that was like the background before. Kind of explain the context, because I know it's a bit like to just be like, oh, I'm going to do this. Yeah. And then, I don't know, I always had it so clear in my brain, like from starting, I always knew. It's really hard to explain, but I just saw exactly how it was going to unfold. Like the whole 5-stage plan, like everything. Like when I told my mom and dad, they were kind of like, okay. they were like, okay, I mean, they backed me, so they were just like, go for it.
Yeah.
But you know, it's quite hard to even now, it's quite hard. Like I think it's quite hard for people to understand what the plan is almost, because it is very complex and there is so much to it. But to me, it's like the best thing ever. Like I just know exactly how I want to get there, and so far everything's worked better than I intended. So
I think you've I think seeing, and things to your point about there's a gap and it's needed. I think the fact that, because you know there is a lot of people out there that talk about this issue, and you know there's a lot of creators and people trying to come up with initiatives, but the fact that you've been able to grow so quickly, like what's your following at the moment across your social media platforms?
Over 400,000 now across Instagram. I mean, Threads has started to really pick up as well. I think we had 3 million views on Threads this month, which we don't even really make much of an effort on Threads. So we're definitely going to start tapping into that a bit more as well. I think, you know, always the start of growing a following is the hardest. Like to get to your first like 100,000 is like hardest, and then it's much easier. Not always, but like you know, it's much easier generally to then grow. But yeah, so essentially from October, I worked until about mid-January full time, and did HASSL alongside. And then it just kind of grew so quick. I was like, I can't commit to both. Like I just couldn't do both well. And I was kind of like, because I really liked my job that I had. So I was like, you know, I wasn't like desperate to leave or anything. And it was a really big decision because, you know, I really loved everyone I worked with and stuff like that. And, you know, I really enjoyed my job. So I wasn't in any way like looking to leave. And when I'd started, I thought I'll do it on the weekends and the evenings for like 2 years before I, you know, even think about like moving on. But yeah, didn't happen like that. So I think within like the first month, I think we were on about 30,000. Then by the second month, it was about 100,000 or something. So it was, it just grew a lot. And then we kind of, part of the plan was to have an ambassador program, which was supposed to go live in stage 3, which is like the stage that we're currently working on now. But in stage 1, there were so many people being like, I want to help, like, you know, which is amazing. So I ended up launching the platform in stage 1, but now we're like really building it out into the extent of what it was always intended to be, which was like project groups, focus groups, people working on initiatives, people from all over the world being able to contribute whatever skill they want. Like I never wanted it to be like, oh, you have to pay to be involved in this, or you have to have a certain, as long as you want to help, you know, in whatever capacity and time you have, I want you to be able to be part of it. So yeah, we're kind of like really building out the platform now to hopefully its full extent. And then once we do that, we we haven't even really promoted the ambassador thing, and we're already at nearly 2,000 ambassadors. So
well, I keep coming across them as well, because I think your ambassadors are then creating content. And they like on TikTok they tag you. I think I had a conversation with one the other day. I was like, oh, you're a HASSL ambassador. Like commented on her post. And the fact that you've got men involved as well.
I think that was really, and I think it is quite hard, like when I'm talking about HASSL, because obviously like whenever you have, I don't refer to it as a business because it's not for profit, but like whenever you have a brand or business, like you do have your obviously like elevator pitch, but for every single part of HASSL, there's so many like nuances to everything, but it's so hard to explain because it's so clear. Like even like the merch, there's so many aspects to why the merch was designed the way it was. Like, you know, there's about 20 different reasons and considerations. When people say, oh, could we have this? Can we have that? I don't mean to like dismiss it, but it's like, this is so carefully thought through in every single way to have maximum impact, to be subtle, to not make sure people don't get harassed for wearing it, but also if people are wearing it, people know what it is. And like, you can incorporate into everyday clothing. It's not like traditional charity kind of things where you are kind of wearing it to not be performative necessarily, but you know, you're making a conscious decision to wear it to something. Whereas I just wanted it to be something that could fit into like your everyday, and it become like almost a mainstream brand, but instead of the profits going to pockets, profits go to doing something good in the world. So that's like my vision, I guess. But yeah, every aspect, like it is very much designed around men, as much as it's like a voice for women, and it's very much around like removing internalized misogyny, and like there's a lot of victim blaming and stuff that still comes from women that we need to break down.
Yeah.
You know, to me, like men have to be part of the solution, or we're never going to get there. Like with any social issue, the people who are the oppressor in the situation, even if they're not directly, you know, the people benefiting from the privilege, essentially, that's how you get to a solution far quicker and far more effectively if they're involved in the solution. So
yeah,
yeah.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, despite what you may think, I do encourage men to get involved in the mission. So have you had any kind of real pinch me moments so far in the journey?
I think a lot of like the brands that we're working with right now, but I just can't say it yet. So I'm like, so annoying, because I can talk, like I love to talk and I just want to say it. But yeah, I think a lot of brands and like, I guess, very famous people that have reached out and either offered support or offered to like work with us, I think that's one thing that's like, to even know that they know about it is unreal. I think the biggest thing for me is we have a survey that you can like leave feedback in, and the feedback in there literally makes me want to cry like every single day. Like, it's, on one hand, I'm like, it's so depressing because the bar is so low that you're so happy that this even just exists. But also the things that people say, like, there's no motivation like that. Like, I think people don't really get, you know, why I'd want to do something that wasn't to make money, or, you know, like, I know I'm never going to make it. That's never the intention. But as long as I can live and survive, I really, like, I just have no desire to. I never have. But I think, like, I just don't know how to explain, even from a selfish perspective, even if I didn't care about changing the world, the satisfaction you get from hearing things like that from people is like, you can't compare it. And, you know, we've had people contact us and be like, I reported something that happened to me years ago, and I'd never have done it if I hadn't have found you and realized that I wasn't on my own, and things like that is just, and I'm like, to me, done anything yet, because we haven't really launched any of the like big, you know, the big initiative, apart from like workplace training, which is still very much in its infancy because we only launched it less than 2 months ago. It's like, to me, we've done a few social media posts, like, you've seen nothing yet. Do you know what I mean? And the fact that that's already having an impact is like, crazy.
But that makes it worthwhile, because, you know, we can talk about this stuff and how positive it is, but I know that not everybody welcomes this kind of conversation. And so when you're showing up every day and you've got people in your comments and in your DMs saying not very nice things to you and about you, I think when you're impact driven and you want to make a difference, that kind of stuff can get you down after a while. Like, I know I feel it. You feel like you're just holding back the tide, and some days it feels completely pointless. So when somebody does feedback and tells you that you've impacted them in some way, I think you need that light, don't you, amongst all of the darkness. Otherwise it's just too depressing.
No, absolutely. I think people don't always realize like how much that, you know, that kind of means, and how much that, like, you know, I would say I'm already pretty motivated, but that just motivates me even more. So and I think also
you're doing it
and stuff to see that now that I have a team, and like for them to see it and like to see what impact they're making, it's just
it's just being a part of being part of something
with dickheads on the internet. Such fun.
Yes. Yes, a daily occurrence. So what can you talk about? What does the future of HASSL look like?
I mean, I can talk about
what's coming up.
So we're in stage 3 at the moment, which essentially stage 3 is made up of, they're all kind of made up of a couple of initiatives. So stage 3 is made up of viral campaigns, which we put our first one out, I don't know, like a month ago maybe, which was, I just made on Canva. Like, we're going to do actual campaigns with like ambassadors and stuff that we're starting to work on. But that was just like to get one done. But that's had nearly 2 million views, I think, already. And that's just organically as well. So trying to like create campaigns that we know are really going to resonate and spread wide, essentially. It's all about kind of pushing the message where it can't be ignored. So it's like, I want people to be sick of seeing us. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. It's so ingrained in there. In what, you know, and even people who don't care, it's like to get them into the realm of caring, kind of thing. So viral campaigns, the ambassador platform to be, because that's when it was supposed to actually be launched. So the ambassador platform to be in its full capacity of what it's intended to do. There's a lot of, you know, there's already 2,000 people almost on it, and obviously with that there's so many processes, like safeguarding, policies, all this kind of boring behind the scenes stuff that we have to do. So it, you know, it's almost like having a business of thousands of people. Like you would have an entire team just to do all of this stuff, and obviously there's literally 4 of us. So but yeah, building that out essentially, and I would say we're nearly there now with it, and we started to do some of like the focus groups and that kind of stuff. So and yeah, working on the initiatives and things. So, and the third thing is basically free online resources. So for teachers, parents, for children, essentially just free downloadable either resource packs or things that you can do online. We've kind of got like these little course things that you can do as well. Essentially trying to use HASSL's relatively signature way of flipping the narrative, stripping things back rather than kind of going in hard, and shifting mindsets essentially, and kind of essentially trying to meet people where they are and take them to the next level, rather than trying to, like I have this scale in my head of like where everyone sits, you know, in terms of how they see this issue, and it's trying to like meet people where they are with the issue and take them up one level essentially with these tools. And obviously by making them free, it removes at least the barrier, like the financial barrier of it, and kind of almost trying to hook people in with like what they think right now. So if I'm trying to target someone who's maybe like not even remotely engaged in like feminism or whatever, especially if it's a man, for example, it could be like, I'm sick of women saying it's all men, or referring to people as men, and kind of trying to have that hook and then break it down and explain it. And it's almost like designed in a way that people come to those conclusions by themselves, rather than you telling them what to think, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so
no, that makes total sense.
Because also like a lot of, obviously like we're global, and a lot of schools, especially across the world, aren't kind of very pro educating people on this, but a lot of teachers have some level of autonomy to teach about what they want to teach about. So it's trying to also provide those things so that they can communicate stuff, you know, in a way that maybe is not like funded by the school, but maybe if they have the opportunity to teach about it and they have the right resources and stuff, that they can actually do it. So that's what stage 3 is all about, is essentially mass information, education, and that kind of stuff. Stage 4 is education programs in schools and brand partnerships. So a lot of the brand partnerships that we're working on now, the plan is to launch them during stage 4, which is all different things like collaborative initiatives, collaborative products, like, I guess, stuff I can't really like collaborative campaigns. I'm trying to like summarize too much
without saying anything.
Essentially kind of utilizing their brand that they have established as a mainstream brand, but then partnering with us to either kind of build stuff within for their own customer base or even employees, but also kind of utilizing their platform and essentially joining up to show that they're ready to help with like systemic change. And the education programs, the plan is, I mean, we're talking to some schools already about piloting, and then the plan is hopefully to launch them in the UK in September, and then we will roll out in other places dependent on demand. So we're just gonna have sign-ups for different countries, and then over time essentially roll them out. And then stage 5 is the reporting tech, which is kind of what HASSL was always built for. Everything else is like to take it there, to fund it. The reporting tech is like the big thing, but that won't go live till like 2026. So
that's not that far away.
No, it's really not. No.
We work quick as well.
I mean,
kind of like repurposing existing we're not building technology, it's like repurposing and combining existing technologies to a new use case, but you have to have like a global reach for it to be effective. So that's why we're like building all this other stuff first.
Yeah. And so building that big audience so that when you do launch the tech, you've already got people ready and willing to jump in, because it's only going to be useful when enough people use it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Also that people trust it, because we need like that credibility aspect that especially like a lot of law enforcement have lost, you know, that kind of trust, especially from women. So it's kind of like, how can we be that middleman and that credibility kind of partner almost. And it's basically, without again going into too much detail, it's basically taking all those barriers to reporting that women face, whether it's like feeling like they're not going to be believed, whether it's not getting evidence, whether it's not understanding what the process will be, all those different things, and kind of removing those barriers as much as possible to essentially detect repeat perpetrators, repeat areas of perpetration. Is that even a word? But you know what I mean. But yes, trying to essentially, and then we're already like working with, again in the background, you know, having partnerships with kind of law enforcement organizations, agencies and things like that, so that, you know, when it also has mass adoption from public, hopefully it also has that adoption from the organizations, and it's kind of wrapping it up for them, so there's like no real way for them to say no. It's like giving them it where they might not have the, you know, the technical infrastructure or the funding or whatever to to do those kind of things themselves. So that's the easy peasy plan.
Like, do you sleep?
It's only simple. Yeah. Or eat or have a life. Yeah. So if anybody would like to get involved, where can they find you, and what are the opportunities if people want to support you? I know you've mentioned the ambassador program, but are there other ways?
Yeah, so there's quite a lot of different things. There is a page on HASSL website that says get involved, and there's about 10 on there. Essentially, the ambassador platform is the biggest one if you want to contribute like any skills or time, and like, as I say, you don't have to have specific skills. It's just a desire to essentially help. We do things like focus groups and stuff like that, where we just want insights and opinions. It's not, you don't have to be coming from a specific background. There is a survey which literally takes about between 5-10 minutes to do. That's super useful. Again, that's shaping all the initiatives, because you'll probably find a lot of the time that especially organizations, or like, again, not to be derogatory to police forces and stuff, but they tend to build things before really understanding what people actually need. So by filling that in, you're helping to shape the initiatives to be as effective as possible. There is obviously little things like go and follow us on socials and like engage with content and things like that. Sign up to the mailing list. That's where we will talk about all the new releases as they come, the new initiatives essentially as they launch, and be able to access them first. What else? There's like 10 things on that page. On there. But yeah, there's essentially loads of different ways. Like, the whole thing is designed that you can get involved without spending money. That's the thing. If you want to spend money, i.e. you want to help us in a financial sense, then there is merch, which I'm in the process of finalizing the next collection. Hopefully going to go out this weekend if I finish it. We've got a lot bigger range of products for people to use, different price points and to buy. And we also have workplace training programs that are live. So essentially, if you work at an organization and you want us to deliver, it's basically on safe bystander intervention and generally around like systemic sexism and misogyny. So again, using the kind of signature, like flipping the script. It's non-accusatory. It's very much like, how do we all be part of the solution? It's again about meeting people where they are on that scale and trying to take them up one, rather than kind of expecting everyone to be at the same stage mentally. So it's all designed in that way. So you can also either recommend that to senior leadership within your company, or if you are obviously senior leadership or whatever, HR, you can have a look at that. And we do like content packages and stuff as well, so we can share it on our socials. And we know what we're doing with their content, so you can get that alongside it.
Brilliant.
Involvement basically. At the moment, that's the main ways that we're funded, because
Great. And Chris has helpfully added the link in the comments there. So hassl.uk/pages/get involved. This has been brilliant. Thank you so much, Amy, for coming in.
This is the problem. I can talk forever. You have to tell me to shut up.
Well, there's so much to it as well. I think maybe we'll have to have you back and talk about the next update. So yeah, thank you ever so much for telling us all about HASSL. I just think it's incredible what you achieved in such a short space of time. And I think that you have this amazingly clear vision, like you said, and just the way you're plowing through it. It's just, I'm excited. I'm really excited obviously I'm excited about everything that you're doing, but the tech itself, I think I'm really excited to see how that lands. And also what it opens up, because I think there's going to be a lot of things that come from it that you're probably not even thinking of now.
Definitely.
So I think we're going to be seeing.
Yeah, like the plan's always been the same, but definitely like the offshoots of like different things that have come out of it. Like partnerships was always in the works, but the kind of partnerships that we're doing, like a lot of them I never even thought of, but they're so, organizations have approached us with their own problems related to this issue. And it's opened up a whole new avenue of things that, because I'd never worked in that area or whatever, I've just not really considered. So always learning, always finding new ways. But I like the fact that we're trying to attack it from all different angles, and that's what we're always going to do. I think, unfortunately, it's such a massive problem, and it's such a combination of different issues that you kind of need that, attack from all angles. Maybe attack's not the greatest word to use in the context, but you know what I mean. The approach from all angles to really get like long-term lasting change, and not just kind of do this like plastering over the problem thing that we've
100%.
So,
brilliant. Okay, well, thank you, and thanks everyone for all your comments and stuff. We will get to them hopefully for the end of this session. If not, we'll add some comments in after. So this is now the part 2. So we're back to our regularly scheduled programming, and we're going to jump into some examples from misogyny this week. And Amy's going to stay with us and chip in her own views as well. So this is going to be good. Michelle, do you want me to just pick one, or should we
pick one? Yes.
Oh, I think my face is being hidden by the logo.
It is. So where's Felice gone?
Hello.
So yes, I have seen nothing. This guy is just generally mean to women, and I don't even follow him, but I see all of his posts, which is very interesting on Twitter. And the amount. This is just one part of all of the posts I've seen about Pamela Anderson. It's like, people need to get an actual grip.
Yeah.
I think she's about to become a grandmother. Are we expecting to be sexy as grandmothers? Because I couldn't be asked with any of that shit, quite frankly. But just leave her alone.
I was going to say, I think women's appearance is just such a topic, always a topic of debate for everyone, and it's not in no way the same for men, like in the way that we pick apart and whatever way we do it is the wrong way. So it's like, if you are wearing makeup or looking glamorous or getting Botox or whatever, then you're attention seeking, or you've got the wrong intentions, you're trying to invite certain behaviors, and then if you're not doing that, then you're frumpy, or you don't care, you're unprofessional if it's in a work setting. So I think it's just, you just can't win. Like whatever you do is wrong when it comes to appearance. And
I always like to say, Bridget Jones, the media, everybody told us that Bridget Jones was fat.
Yeah. I know.
It's like, what? It's like,
yes.
So this has been a lifetime of this bullshit, and it's she's probably had enough of being objectified her entire life, and
well, she's been makeup free for years. That was her decision to say, I don't feel the need for it, I'm just going to be who I am. And I think every time she's on the TV or she's in the
Leaves the
media,
house. Uh-huh.
yeah, this is what we get. And that photo of her is like, what, 30 years old?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
just
exactly.
leave her alone. And yeah, the same men will be out here crying, saying, "Oh, women that wear makeup is like false advertising." Do you know what I mean? Like they'll go, women like literally changing their faces. Women should be forced. So I saw this guy say women should be forced to put a makeup-free picture on dating apps so that men could see what they really look like, so they weren't being catfished. And then, women, happily, what they mean is older women. They don't want older women to be makeup free. They want to see women putting their effort and energy into continuing to look as young as possible for the male gaze. It's like, how dare you come out in public and not dress in a way to please us?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think also like the world is designed to expect women to uphold these standards. So it's like you're either not conforming, but like you're either, for peace, and also obviously a lot of women like I quite like wearing makeup, so I wear it. Like it's not, for a particular purpose. It's just I like wearing it. And I think, a lot of people, you constantly kind of, if you don't wear it, that's then below the expectation. Like I see this thing all the time where it's like, how are men so good looking without makeup? And it's like, they're not. It's just that we've been conditioned to think that women aren't attractive without makeup because the world is
Someone's
built.
at the door. 2 seconds, sorry.
Because the world is, the world's expecting women to wear it. So that's the standard. But if we actually were just brought up with no one wearing makeup, then we wouldn't see women as unattractive without makeup, because
it's
how they are.
It's complete conditioning, like same with like body hair and all this kind of stuff, because man has been alive for a good few centuries now before makeup was invented and people were shaving their body hair, and the human population managed to reproduce while everyone just looked the way they looked. So yeah, I think this idea of we know social, the beauty is a social construct. 50 years ago women were unattractive who were skinny. Probably longer than that, probably more like 70 years ago. Back in like the 50s, there'd be adverts telling women how to put on weight to get their curvy ideal hourglass figure. And then obviously we went through the 90s and like heroin chic, which is fucking awful, which is obviously now making a comeback. And yeah, it's endless, it's relentless.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like you either conform to it and then yeah, exactly. You either conform to it and then you're doing it wrong, or you don't conform to it and you're doing it wrong. And it's like, I think also like they change so quickly for women as well in terms of like the trends. So it's like, not that long ago, like you said, it was to be in the 90s, whatever, it was to be stick thin. Then we've had like the kind of Kim Kardashian like hourglass, like really accentuated features, and then it's like we've had heavy makeup, now we're back to like clean girl aesthetic, and it's like it's just constantly changing. And then girls are made to feel like they're not good enough, so then they go and get surgery or fillers or whatever it is, and then the trend changes, and now it's like then everyone's like slagging off girls for having lip filler, and it's just like you can't win. Like you literally can't win in this situation, and it just makes women feel more and more insecure. It's frustrating.
Yeah, we just need to leave women alone.
Yes.
So leave them alone.
Yeah. So what are we rating?
It's got to be the patriarchy, this one, isn't it? Surely.
It just is, because it's all of them.
77 billion.
Okay.
Out of 5.
All right. I can't believe we didn't even make it past the first one before we screwed our scoring system.
It's really freaking annoying, and yeah,
it's just everywhere.
Yeah.
Ooh, this one. So if you don't know, there's a computer game called The Last of Us, and there's a second one called The Last of Us 2. Hugely popular. It was made into a TV series. So season 1 came out last year, maybe the year before. And season 2 has just been released last couple of weeks ago. Bella Ramsey plays Ellie, who in the first one is 14, and then in the second game is 19. And the hatred online that they have had because the gamer boys don't believe that they are as attractive as the computer generated version of Ellie. She's literally come off, sorry, they have come off social media because of the amount of hatred they've received. It's gamer boys, that group, the same ones that are responsible for playing these horrendous games that we've been talking about, have literally driven Bella Ramsey off the internet.
Jonathan has it. It's a fucking shit show.
Yes.
So yeah, it's horrendous.
Yeah. And underneath all of this is the fact that the criticism that's been coming out and what people are, because, you know, we see this all the time, don't we, from people online. Whenever someone's cast as someone, you know, Disney princesses and, you know, anyone from a game or a book, there's always somebody that says that they're not the right fit. That's not who should have been cast.
Yeah.
But so much of this criticism has been about Bella Ramsey not being attractive enough to play Ellie, who, let me just remind you, was 14 in the first game.
Mm-hmm.
So what they're saying is Bella Ramsey isn't as fuckable as I would like them to be. And also the fact that Bella Ramsey isn't as feminine as they would like them to be. Even though in the game, while Ellie has a pretty face, she's not feminine. You're fucking badass. But yeah, they've said that they've driven Bella Ramsey from social media.
Nuts.
For not being hot enough. What the actual fuck?
Gamer boys, what we're rating?
Ugh. They all need to get in the bin. Honestly, we literally learned nothing from Gamergate. It was like 13 years ago.
I think I have like two split, like, not opinions, but I think not that it's any excuse. I think younger gamer boys are more, they've, like, obviously they're still growing up. They're easy to manipulate, to prey on insecurities, all that kind of stuff. So I think there is like, obviously, especially with the internet and gaming and all that kind of stuff, like there is a rise in people who know exactly how to manipulate and target and all that kind of stuff. Not to remove that, you know, they shouldn't be saying things like this, but I think especially older people that are doing this have a lot more responsibility. And also, she's a young girl. Like, if you're even considering a young girl in, like, you know, in an like, as to whether you're sexually attracted to them or not, like that's a whole other like, like, even if she's 19, she's still a child to you if you're in your
47.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just, and I think also obviously it's just to go back to, like, it's just these unrealistic beauty standards. Like, I think the internet's obviously made that so much worse with like filters and with more people getting like surgery and, you know, aesthetic treatments and all this kind of stuff. So it's painting that unrealistic image of what a woman should be. And then also it's like, why just because a woman's in a game is she a sexual object? Why is she not just a character in a game?
Yeah. So and as somebody who's, I am a big fan of the Last of Us franchise, and I replay the games. Literally just finished replaying The Last of Us. And I've seen the show. I think Bella Ramsey did a really bloody great job. And I think they are absolutely perfect casting in terms of like mannerisms and just the energy that they bring to the character. I think, you know, they're, I mean, obviously, you know, I loved them in Game of Thrones as well. That was my first introduction to Bella Ramsey. But yeah, just this, the whole, and it's grown, you know, like you said, it's grown men. It's grown men talking about a little child.
That's the ones that always get me more. Like, I'm not, when it's like teenage boys abusing me online, it's kind of like, you know, I'm not saying it's great, but I kind of have a bit more like grace for it, in the sense that I'm like, you've kind of grown up in this world where this is what you've been taught. I don't think it's okay, but I can understand the context a bit more, and that it's usually a projection of insecurity or whatever. But when it's like the amount of grown men I get who also don't know how old I am and are just sending me like the most horrible things, and I'm just like, you probably have, you know, young women in your life. Like, what I mean, not that that should be a reason to not hate women. Like, you should just not hate women, but you know, like to go to the extent of sending someone that could be significantly younger than you, like abusive messages online about their appearance, about telling them, you know, without trigger warning, but like that they should get assaulted and like all this kind of stuff. And it's just like, you know, that neither of them bother me anymore because I'm so used to it. And also I just feel like I know it's projection. Like it doesn't, like I don't internalize it like how I would probably have done when I was younger. But I think it annoys me or like disappoints me more from older people because I'm like, you've got your brain is fully developed and you're making these active decisions, you know, to do this. Whereas like, and you know,
absolutely more responsible
age bracket.
And you might have daughters.
Sorry, yeah, exactly. So it's just a bit terrifying, to be honest. That's the worst. That's the thing. It's more scary than like I'm bothered about it for me. It's more like scary that you think that's okay to do. But also loads of them do it with their own picture and stuff. And I'm like, I literally like find them on LinkedIn and I'm like,
I do as well. Find them on Facebook.
Find you like what?
They're not that smart. They're loud. They're not that smart.
No, it's like everybody can see your face. Yeah.
All right. So what are we scoring? We're scoring gamer boys.
Gamer adults.
That subset of gamer boys that love to be misogynistic and don't think that girls should be involved in games unless they are some kind of sexual object.
Well,
we'll give that one a 5.
I was going to say I don't like that one.
No. Okay, we are very short on time, so I think we might have to skip straight to the FAFO.
Yeah, my next one, I've already put a LinkedIn post out about it. So
I saw. So we, for FAFO, actually have an update on a previous story.
Ooh, this is exciting.
I know, we've never had this before.
No.
So a few weeks ago, we talked about something that had come to light where there is a man who is on TikTok. He's built a platform. And what he is doing is finding women who are talking about a sexual assault or a rape. And he is then investigating it himself, trying to identify who the perpetrator is, trying to find out about the victim. And then he is submitting a report to the police, I would say on the victim's behalf, but not. He's then filing a report with the police with everything that he has gathered about this assault. His intention is, well, his view is, unless you have a guilty verdict, you are not allowed to talk about your assault online. So what he's doing, he's forcing the hand of women by forcing the police to investigate an accusation, so that when, you know, or if there's no charges, you know, and it doesn't get taken any further, or it gets taken to court and they don't find him guilty, he can then tell that woman that she needs to shut the fuck up. So this is what he's doing. He did it to this woman. She went onto his live to confront him. Turns out he had got in touch with her rapist. She had actually already reported it to the police, and it was with the police when he did this, and then told her that she hadn't been raped, that she was just upset that the relationship had ended and was doing this as an attack on her ex-partner. So this is where the story was when we talked about it before. But the police, once they'd spoken to this man, was so concerned about the level of detail this man had about this woman that they contacted her and they said, we believe that you are in danger. We believe that this is harassment, and we would like to press charges. So this man is now being investigated by the police for harassment of this woman. And this came from the police. They were like, this guy is fucking weird. We don't like what's going on. We don't like what he's doing to you. He needs to stop.
I was going to say, the fact that he's so like dedicating his life to basically disproving assault stories screams he's hiding something to me.
It's all of the flags.
Any accusations, but I'm just saying, like, that was what I was going to say before you even said about being investigated. Like, it just seems like you know, you're kind of trying to paint a case for disproving this, so that when it happens,
when you get done,
yeah, and which of course we know, you know, that's less than 1% of all rapists in the inside of a jail cell. So, you know, that's the vast majority of women are never, you know, if you take his word, and never allowed to talk about their assault. Now, she hadn't named the perpetrator. He did on the live. He named the boy.
How did he get that information? That's like creepy AF.
Well, I think so. It's like you're connected to people. They go and, you know, it's down the rabbit hole. You know, we know women are very good at finding connections and like, who is this man? I've got a first name and a town that he lives in, and he's got a dog named Rufus. And like, you know, 10 minutes later, we're like, we know his social security number. We know his first girlfriend's name. So I think there's so much available for us online. And obviously he tracked this woman through, found this guy, reached out to him. They had a conversation. And obviously, you know, he went to the police as a kind of, you know, if you're going to talk about it, then you've got to take it to the police kind of thing. Which, if you can imagine if he did that to somebody who was in real danger, you know, that had talked about this online, but hadn't named the person. And, you know,
him naming them, like, is that not very hypocritical if you're naming someone who's not yet been found guilty and you're saying women can't talk? Like, is that not?
We did what's
can't talk about it without a guilty verdict. Like, that's just so contradictory.
Yeah. So that was my vote for this week. So I hope that they bring charges. I mean, the worst that'll happen is probably get a fine or something, but maybe it will stop him doing this, and he'll just get told by the police that this is not okay, and you have to stop doing this to women. But yes, this is it. So this is it. And this is the end of this week's episode of WTF, Women Talking Facts. And this has been so much fun. Having Amy with us. I think we've really enjoyed it. So I think maybe we might do this again, like have another guest.
I'll have Amy back.
Okay, I'll come back if you want.
Yeah, Amy will come back. But what do I normally do on the sign off?
I can't remember. I was very distracted by the electrician coming that I didn't know about. So yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. we hope that you've enjoyed it. We will be back next week. If you joined last week and heard me say that we're not going to be here next week, we are going to be here next week.
How come?
Because I had next week blocked out in my calendar for Centre Parks, and I'm not going next week. I'm going the week after.
Oops.
Which is like a total dull moment. I was like, I'm not even sure how I did it. So all week I've been frantically rearranging everything that I've booked for the week after next into next week. But yeah, so I am here next Friday. I'm just not here the Friday after. So yeah, I hope sounds. As always, if you see examples online that you think that Michelle and I would enjoy ripping to pieces, then do send them to us in the DMs on LinkedIn, or just, you know, tag them here if you want to. And we shall see you next Friday.
Next week. Thanks, Amy.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Amy. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Bye.